So a couple of days ago I finished a remix of Shade Trampoline in which there was one very interesting sound. A booty bass. You've been asking me, hey, do a reconstruction of the track, kid. You wanna know how to make this heavy bass sound? There you go. Today you'll learn how to make this beefy, heavy, insane bass sound. So let's head over. Is this even a word? Let's head over. Let's head over to. What does that mean? Oh, I'm correct. Okay, cool. So let's head over to the Ableton and I'm gonna show you the part of the project of the song. So that's the bass from the drop. Okay, so what is happening here? This may be a little bit complex at the beginning, because there is 6 layers. 6 layers. 6 layers and 3 groups. Amazing. This is how it works. Sometimes you have to layer a bunch of things together. Wait, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, it's 5 layers. And one is just a MIDI clip, playing all the basses. Okay, so how it works? We have this bass input. This MIDI clip is working as an input in these 4 tracks. So as you can see in this place we have bass input, which is this MIDI track, set as the input. So every time I play a note here, it is playing in all 4 layers. So let's start from the first layer. So that's one of the sounds, but like there's a lot of post-processing. As you can see, there's one group. And on this group I'm using like a distortion, some EQ and OTT, and on the another group I have the Hass effect. And yeah, and that's all the groups here. At the beginning I'm gonna show you every sound and then we'll go in more depth into more post-processing things and how all of these layers work together and how that grouping works together and why I use 3 groups instead of, I don't know, 1. You know, let's turn off everything on here except maybe of this OTT. So that is a bass in Serum with a lot of distortion, some chorus and hyperdimension. Basically, hyperdimension and chorus, I use them to add some width to the sound. Distortion to make it distorted simply. And it's pretty simple sound actually. There's a basic mini wavetable, the first wavetable, 5 unisono, and then we have a 4088 wavetable with a mirror maximum on this, and it gives some, you know, weird things, but as you add a low pass filter, it's fine. And some sub bass, which I actually cut here because I use an external sub bass on a different track. So another sound is gonna be, yeah, that's a Reese bass. It doesn't sound like. If you want the exact one, you can find in my Ultimate Future Bass Serum preset pack. So basically what this bass is, that's a saw wave. 2 saw waves, one pitched 1 octave up, and both of these with the 5 voices, and some EQing to get rid of lows, and sub oscillator to just have some pure sub bass, not affected by anything, and some filtering to get rid of these highs, and that filtering actually gives you that pleasant Reese bass. Pretty simple thing. So the effects here, the isotope trash, it gives that the monster kind of sound to it. So as you can see, I used a convolve, and convolve is a thing that adds that kind of reverb thing. These all things here are just the reverbs, and you can mix these with your sound. And they can be pitched up and down depending on the note height. And I added some distortion. So that's it. And then I added some EQing. Yeah, another one is a white noise. It's a distorted white noise. That distortion comes from the combination of these two things, which is this wavetable and a bright noise. So I added some noise. And basically when you add the distortion, you're gonna get that distorted sound. And this distortion mostly comes from the low frequencies of this thing. Let's turn this to a maybe sine wave. You're gonna get the same distortion thing because of the low frequencies and some filtering, and that's basically it. And the last one is a dedicated sub. That's a pure sub here, so that's it. And after you add some distortion and all of the things together, it doesn't sound great yet, right? Because here I added another distortion thing called Spectry. And this is ridiculous how good this distortion plugin is. So you have 5 bands here. That's kind of like a multi-band distortion plugin. So you can distort, for example, this band. Or some highs. You have a couple of colors which will give you a different sound of the distortion. You're gonna get more distortion and aggressive. And I also recommend increasing the input. If your sound is pretty quiet, you may not get enough distortion, so I recommend pushing this up to a certain value. And you can make the sound louder on the output as well. Okay, so let's switch to this one. And also, why I did so much grouping. So here we have one group inside which I have this bass and this bass. And I am distorting this with a Spectry. Only these two, because I didn't want to distort also this white noise thing, because it will just destroy the sound. I'm gonna show you. Not so great. And then we have another group and the Haas effect, which makes the sound ridiculously wide. And why it works so good is because we are taking actually one sound and we are splitting it into 2 chains. And here on a one chain we have a simple delay, which is delaying this chain. Because when left and right channels are playing at the same time, the same thing, you feel like the sound is perfectly in mono. When there is some difference in the channels, for example, one of these is delayed, as in here, you get this wide feeling. So that's basically it. Yeah, and then we have this thing. This comes from the remix competition from the stems. So that's it for this video. I hope you liked it. I hope you enjoy it. I hope you'll be able to recreate this sound by yourself it's not so complex. If you want to support me in this remix competition, I would be very grateful if you could leave a like under a remix competition. The link is in the description and in the first comment. Thanks. See you in the next one.